Hi there. I am glad you can make it today. We are starting at the beginning of the Bible. We are in Genesis chapter 1 and a little bit of chapter 2. This is where everything started. In fact, it starts off with in the beginning. So you can't get any farther back than that as far as knowing what was going on or what happened in the past. And with the book of Genesis, we find that this is attributed, meaning people give credit to Moses for writing this down. And of course, he got this information from God himself, so we can trust what it has to say. So, at the start of everything, it means that God was there. It starts off saying, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Very first verse, and that tells us a few things right off the bat. One is that God was already here. Now, people like to say, well, how old is God? And, what did he do before this? Well, we don't know that. And one of the things with knowing how old God is that what are the things we use to tell time? And I'm talking about back before watches and clocks were made. How did they tell time? Well, they would look at days uh, from one day to the next, so you understand that. And months, that's the amount of time it takes the moon to go around the earth. And years, the amount of time it takes the earth to go around the sun. So we have those three things. But how do you tell time before those three things have been created? Kind of makes it tough. And then some people go, oh, wait a second, what about weeks? Where do those come from? Well, we're getting to that. And I think you'll like how this part turns out. So at the very beginning of everything, God was there. Uh, God has always been. God is spirit. And that's an important thing to remember in all of this is that spirit is eternal. Uh, it's the physical world, the physical things that don't last forever. So, for instance, we are physical beings with also a spiritual part, meaning that our bodies start off and we're young and then we grow older and our bodies wear out. But there's a part of us that is always us and that exists. And that is called spirit. Now, you may hear also people refer to that as soul or spirit. There actually is a difference between the two of those, and I always had it backwards. Uh, what we can think of is while our body's living, that's the soul. That's the life force. What keeps us moving around, keeps us alive. Um, when the bodies die, though, the part that lasts forever is the spirit. Now, that's pretty cool. Now, God is all spirit. So there is no beginning and no end to God. There's a beginning to us because God created us. And let's look and see what happened with that. Um, the first thing that happens is God creates the heavens and the earth. And you go, wait, there's the earth. Okay, I get that, but why heavens? Why not heaven? Because we use words a little bit differently. When we talk about heaven, we're usually talking about the place where God is and the angels are, and the people who follow God go there after their physical bodies die. But heavens actually means three things. And we find out this a little bit later when we start getting farther into the Bible. But the first heaven is the sky, you know, all right, where the birds fly. The second heaven is all of the universe, where the stars are, okay. Third heaven is what we think of when we say heaven, meaning the place where God is and where his angels are, that sort of thing. All right, so in the beginning, God created all of this. And what we remember is that the angels are created too. They weren't always around. So we have God. He creates the heavens and the earth, and he hovers, his spirit hovers over the surface of the deep, as it's called. Well, what that tells us is that the earth while it has no shape, is covered in water. And it's kind of funny with that because I like to listen to some of the science videos and watch those that come out, and saw one that came out recently saying the earth used to be covered with water completely. And I don't think they were talking about the flood of Noah, which comes much later. Well, those of us who have read Genesis go, oh, yeah, that's not a big surprise. The earth was covered in water. But at this time, God says, let there be light. Hmm. There's not a sun, there are not stars and all that giving light. Light is from God. The source of the light is from God. So he creates light. Okay, he has light, so where the darkness is, that's going to be nighttime. Where the light is, it's daytime, and we understand that part of it. And that's the end of the first day. Now, chapter refers to a day as being evening and morning. You go, oh, yeah, because when he first created everything, it was dark. When he creates light, that comes a little bit later. So, a day, and the Jewish people still do this, a day begins at dark and then it finishes when the light goes away at the end of the day. So, a little confusing, but you can think about that some. Okay, so second day, God separates the water. So you have all this water covering the world, and he takes some of that water and builds the sky out of it. What we could say is the first heaven. And you know that there's water in the sky because there are clouds. And you know, okay, that's where the rain comes from. But a thing to remember is that within the air, there is water. We don't see it, but you know, if you get a glass and put ice in it and set it out, especially in the summertime, it'll get wet on the outside. Well, that's some of that water in the air that collects on the glass. So God has separated and made the sky, separated the water, made the sky. And as he did at the end of the first day, he goes, okay, this is good. He says, this is good. Okay, now it's the third day. This time, he separates and pushes back the water and brings forth land. And so now he's got the land separated from the water, and he starts covering the world in vegetation. And these are plants that will make seeds and that will lead to other plants. It seems like with all of this, though, he starts with fully grown plants that can make seeds, and they're doing that. And so now you've got a green earth that's here. Okay, at the end of this, he says, this is good. And it really is. It's pretty cool at this point. Okay, we get to the fourth day. Now he says, okay, sun, moon, stars, creates those. Or some people say that these already existed, but now he's designating them. But it seems to me like he now puts them out. He wants you to understand that even though the sun generates light and the moon has light as well, which is reflecting from the sun, and then the stars give light, that light in and of itself is a positive thing, and its source is in God. He can create things that will generate light or reflect light, but light is considered a positive thing all along. So we remember that as we go forward with this. And it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. Now there's the sun, the moon, and the stars, and that's the end of that day. The next day, it's still all good. The next day, God fills the ocean with animal life. So all these things you can think of, you know, fish, uh, squids, um, dolphins, whales, all kinds of sea creatures are in the water, and he creates the birds. Think, okay, that's pretty cool. You know, we've got the creatures in the sea, the creatures in the sky, and now there's life everywhere. It's not just the plants. It's all kinds of sea life. All right, end of that day. Now we get to day 6. This time, God creates the land animals. And we're talking about all kinds, from livestock like you have goats, sheep, cattle, to the things that crawl along the ground like lizards and snakes, even, to um, the fierce animals, the ones that are hard to tame. You think lions and tigers, those kinds of things. The huge animals, elephants, would be involved in this. So all kinds of creatures on the earth, but he's not finished. He now also creates man. And here's where I have to tell you a little something that um, with the Jewish people, you have man and woman, and it's very similar to the English, whereas man could refer to men or women or both. Um, in English, woman actually means a man with a womb, and the womb is the part where in a mama is where the baby grows. And you go, okay, so every time it's talking about men or man, it may refer to men and women. And so now God creates man, or what we often say is mankind, and he wants them to control the world. They are working for him, and people are special to God. Um, they have the spirit as God does because he says, let's make man in our image. And we'll talk more about why he says our image some other time. But the thing for you to get in all of this is that he has elevated mankind above the animals. We're supposed to be in charge of the earth and to put order into it and take care of things for God. You see, at this time, people were not supposed to eat animals. People were given the green plants. In fact, the animals were given the green plants to eat, and the people were supposed to take care of things. They were working for God. At least that was the plan. Now, at the end of all this, it's been 6 days. And God has been saying every day, it's good. This is good. He likes what he's doing. It's going according to plan. At the end of the 6th day, he says, this is very good. So God is pleased. He's gotten everything off to a great start. And that's where we're going to wrap up now. And so this is how we get the days of the week. But you go, wait, a week is 7 days, but we've only talked about 6 days. That's right, because on the 7th day, God rested. Now, does that mean he was tired? No, not God. We might get tired, and this is a lesson for us. This is how we get our week, is the 7th day, where we are to work for 6 days and rest on the 7th day. And with God, it just means he's finished. He's created what he's going to create, and the Bible now is going to go back a little bit and give us some detail on some other things. But that's something we're going to talk about next time. With today's lesson, I will wrap up with this and say my tie completely black because I don't know how it looked as soon as God said, let there be light. But before that, it was all darkness. But God has overcome the darkness. And with that, I'm going to let you go, and I hope you will be back next time. Bye.